Welcome to Believe in Chargers. Hope springs eternal. A ton of excitement. Lorenzo Neal with me, 17 years in the league, an all-time great in Chargers lore. Of course, all-decade team, and arguably the greatest fullback of his era, an era which may be making a return based on all these draft picks. We are going to discuss 9 of them, a ton of undrafted free agents to get to. But first, Lo, a huge thank you to the people. We appreciate you for downloading, for subscribing, for interacting. Please, please, please leave comments on the YouTube. Leave comments on the podcast. Leave reviews. That is how we grow this. Tell your friends. And again, we can't thank you enough. So wherever you prefer to procure your podcasts, thank you. But if you don't mind, a review and a comment helps us grow it. We are part of the Believe TV network. You can see those around the country in airports and all that sort of stuff. So when you see us point and go, I know that dude, that's Lo Neal, and he's going to suit up and he's going to get back out there because he's darn excited after this draft. Right, Lo?
No question, man. I love it that the fans always say, Lo Neal, suit up, get back out there. They want to see me get hurt. You know, it's good to live in the past. But, Money, no, absolutely, man. Excited time for the Chargers. I know you and I, we've been talking about this draft, and, it's finally here and come and gone. And I'm excited to get your perspective. I know the fans want to hear what we think and what the Chargers are doing. What does this mean for the team? Did they get better? Did it make them an instant competitor in the AFC or the AFC West or the Super Bowl? So there's so many things that we're going to explore. And the Chargers, they did it. They went out and we thought they were going to be physical, and they did do that. For sure.
Yeah, I want to start with you, Lo, and just if you can remember, if you cared. Now I would assume you did because you're wondering who's coming in the room. Is someone gunning for my legs? Someone coming from a job? Like, who are these guys drafting? Are they getting guys that are going to help me perform as a fullback? Is the running game going to get better because of who they draft? So if you're part of a team that has a head coach and a run game coordinator and a tight ends coach, and all of these guys have taken to the podium, to the lectern, and said the same thing. The message has been on point. We are going to be a physical team. We are going to run the ball. This is a team that believes in investing in offensive line. What's the one group of players that they rely on nobody, but everybody else relies on them? We remember all this stuff we've talked about now.
Right.
What does it mean when they have the number 5 pick and they take a 6'9" tackle to announce, we're gonna put our money where our mouth is? I mean, we've been telling you, and this is what we do. What does that mean to a team about culture, about identity moving forward when you see something like that?
I think an offensive player, as an offensive guy, when you see a coach in an organization say, we're going to be physical and we're going to win in the trenches. When you see that pick, you're like, okay, here we go. You get that little chill, that little, those little butterflies, like, okay, you said, okay, I better go work out because I know the kind of ball that we're getting ready to play. And you saw the way the Chargers, they want to make sure that they secure in the trenches. And when you saw that pick, Notre Dame, 6'8", know this guy's big, strong. And you say, okay, we're going to build in the trenches. So I think that was a deal that everyone said, is Harbaugh playing chicken? Is he playing possum? Is he going to get receiver? Is he going to go defense? But you heard it all year. This has been about, we're going to get better on offense. This is the kind of position. They're independent. Everyone needs the offensive line. They make our team better. And that's what Harbaugh and this organization did. They went out and they're saying, we're going to get better in the trenches because you got a pretty good tackle already. And now you just solidified both sides.
You're in those huddles, and I had the fortune of being part of the Chargers draft party. They had a bunch of them, and they asked me to host one of them. And the one I was at had both Rashawn Slater and Zion Johnson were there, and so had a chance to chat with them. And Slater, he's like you would expect, right? A guy who is nasty and mean and destroys people on the field. Off the field, he doesn't have to say anything. He doesn't have to act tough. He's just very mild-mannered and cool. But Zion, and when we were talking, just what's the difference, man? How much different does it feel? And he's like, oh man, we're going forward now. It's like, I'm not going back anymore. I'm going forward. I'm taking it. And he got this smile. And when you put Alt into that, and you heard what he had to say, and we had a chance to talk to him after he got drafted last week, and he just said, listen, man, I want to take it. I'm not interested in receiving. I'm interested in giving. And that's what offensive linemen. So when you're in those huddles and you get those run calls, And, I think it was Bradley Bozeman who said it this week. He's like, there's nothing better than 2s and 3s turning into 5s and 6s, and 5s and 6s turning into 8 and 10s. And then in fourth quarter, 8 and 10s turn into 20s. And that's when you've taken their heart and you've taken their football soul. So you've been part of that, Lo. You've been part of those huddles. How hard is it to do? And what does it mean to run an offense that way?
Well, I love it because what is Harbaugh and the strength coach talking about? Getting guys necks, their traps, and strength. You got a guy 6'8". He's got to play lower. He's going to have to get mad center gravity, have to play lower, but he has the frame and he has the body to be a road grader. You look at this offensive line, and that's what it's about. Right now, it's like, how do we put the hay in the barn to get ready for August and September when we really start going and the season starts? It's about the weight room. I'm telling you, I guarantee Ox he's our big fella is probably already in the building, because he understands that they are going to be dependent on this run game and dependent on being physical. So I think that you're talking about these offensive line and what they're talking about, how they say, it's going to be different, we're going forward. They know in order to go forward, you got to have the body and have the tools to do that. So when you're in those huddles, I remember being here in San Diego at the time when the Chargers, and you looked over and you saw Nick Hardwick and you had Chris, you had Chris Dillman, and you had LT back there, and said, oh, boys, here we go. And you said, all right, we're running 42 lead. And you saw the line, and everyone's vested. It's like, I got my block. You get your block. Hey, we know what we have behind us. We know what we have. And you just saw guys, we double team, triple team, and understand we're starting to push guys off the line of scrimmage. And you line up and you look over the sideline, and then the next play is power. And you're like, okay, they depend on us. And then you come off the ball again, and you see defense, hear them starting to yell, hey, guys, hold your gap. What are you doing? I got this. And you start to hear them communicate. You know you're imposing your will. I'm telling you, Money, it's nothing like that. When you're in a huddle and you can look on the other side of the ball and they know you're running, and then you see them, the safety stuff creeping down in the hole, and all of a sudden you still run power, and then you kick out the safety, LT make a guy miss, and then it's 20 yards. And you see guys starting to frustrate. You see also a new fresh set of linemen, 3 more come in. And guess what? You do it to them. And you start to do that, Money, and you see the game starts to turn in your favor. You see guys starting to point the finger, but the wear and tear it puts on the opposing team that they can't stop. And then 3rd, 2, and 3, and now they're in no man's land. Absolutely, without a doubt, the mindset that it does for you, but the disadvantage it does for the defense, because they feel they can't win when it's 4 yards and 5 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, you said it, right? You want the defense to lead the league in points, right? Pointing at you. Why weren't you there? You were supposed to be there. That's what you want to do. So I don't know if you saw that the Chargers social team is just, freaking home runs. And it's why they're nominated for Webbies every year, and they get nominated as best, professional sports social team. And they dig up these photos, and there's a photo of JK Dobbins wearing his LT jersey as a little kid. And now he's signing. He just had his presser yesterday, and just talk about energy and positivity. And it was just screaming from behind that lectern. And I think he might have been wearing the same shirt. And as you see, mine is all wrinkled because I've got a bird chest that's concaved, and his was all super tight because he's all swole looking standing up there.
He's a giant.
He's a big dude, man. There's a reason why he averaged 6 yards per carry that rookie year. And he discussed, and I'm going to try to get there quickly because I want you to get into this. So they've signed Ben Mason, the tight end, right? They signed Dobbins. He said he's 100%. He's like, look, the injuries are the injuries. I think they're freak. It's a knee. And the second time I had the knee, it's because the scar tissue wasn't right, and I had to go in and get it cleaned up. So it's the same injury. And by the time I came back from that end of the year, I got 100+ in every single game I played in, 2 regular season, 1 playoff. We lost the playoff game. Then I come back the next year, and bang, I get this bad luck, this Achilles. He's like, but I feel like that's all behind me. I'm ready to go for it. So you got Dobbins, you got Gus Edwards. They draft Kamani Vidal and in the 6th round. Love the way that kid looks, explosive, just dominated at Troy in the Sun Belt. But people were asking like, hey, Ladd McConkey, and we're going to get into that, but I want to get to this point first in their 2nd round pick because I'm very excited about Ladd McConkey. But what is he, a wide receiver 1? Where's he going to play? Is he the 3? And I said, hey, if I were you, number 1, get the numbers out of the way. Are they going to contribute? I don't care if it's a wide receiver 1 or a 2 or a 3, whatever they are they going to contribute? And I believe Ladd McConkey is going to contribute in a big way. But I said, remember, I don't think this team's going to run a lot of 11. at all. I would be very surprised if they're in a lot. I know that's what most teams run low, but like, would you be surprised if they're in 21 or 12 or hell 22? I mean, based on what they want to do and the way they've built this, like, what were you guys in when you had LT? Were you in 12? Were you in 21 the majority of the time? What was your like kind of what was the base offense that you felt like you were in the most?
Yeah, no question. When we had LT and we were road graders, you're talking about a team that wanted to be dominant, running the ball. We were in 21 personnel and 12 personnel because you had 2 tight ends, you had 12 Justin Peele, you had Antonio Gates. So now you had those edge guys. Now you don't have to necessarily be physical, but now you're running with guys. And you had LT, a great cutter, but you had interior linemen that can create a new line of scrimmage and get the push. So yes, we stayed a lot of 12 and 21. Those were the packages. You're not in 11. I can see 11. That's if you're losing. When you're losing, you might go 11 personnel where you have, 4 wides or 3 wides, 4. So I don't think this team is going to do a lot of that either. I think you're going to see a team come out in a lot of 12 package, and you have tight ends that can play the F position. So you'll see some 21 at times, and you're going to see a physical team, physical type of brand of football. So no, you're right. You're not going to be an 11 a lot. No question.
Yeah, and listen, you think I'm kidding when I say 22? I called enough Stanford games. They played 22 the whole game. You just got one wide receiver out there, and they're just like, hey, we're coming. Here's where the strength is. We're coming right. We're running power right. Stop it. Let's see what you got. And I will not be surprised.
And the reason why, Matt, as I interject, you're absolutely right. The reason why when you get in 22 personnel and you say, I only got 1 receiver, I know I'm 2 tights, and I'm 2 backs, because you have to have gap control on defense. If the integrity of the defense, you got 1 guy at a position, it's a home run because you're talking about, tackle and tight end where they trade up to the linebacker. You're talking about ace block where you have the guard in the center. They're freaking acing up to the backer. And now you got a hat for a hat, and then you're getting double team. And if you get pushed off the line, now the linebacker has to run the hump. So when you have guys, you're talking about, think about Trey, the little young offensive guard, how he's physical, strong. So think about now you have the center and they're coming up to the ace and up to the Mike linebacker. They create a new line of scrimmage. So they're pushing the nose, the 3 technique off the ball. Now the linebacker, he can't just hit it because they're creating a line of scrimmage. So since he's not holding the gap, the nose, now he's got to run a hump. So if they back him up, he's flat-footed, and now they can put a body on him. So when you have 22 personnel and you can put a hat on a hat and double some guys, now your safeties have to become tacklers. They turn into linebackers. And if you have 1 guy out of position or he takes the wrong gap control, you are going to hurt. And that's why when you see Harbaugh and you see when Marty Ball, we got in 22 personnel. And when you start bloodying guys' nose, I'm telling you, it's nowhere to hide. It's nowhere to run in 22 personnel when you're trying to be physical.
Yeah, and back then, Lo, you were talking about taking on Mikes and Wills and Sams that were 250 pounds. Those guys are 220 pounds now.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to keep up with 11 personnel and tight ends that aren't tight ends, that are just bigger wide receivers. So that's what we've been talking about. They're going to zag. Everybody now is in this spread it out. It's a passing league. They're throwing a ton of flags on corners for grabbing. They want guys to be able to run all over the field, and that's fine unless you don't have, sand in your tail to take care of, Will Dissly, who can block, and Ben Mason, who's been signed. And now you got these big backs. Look, Kamani Vidal, you're talking about 5'8", 215 pounds. When I say that, what's that look like to you, Lo? The 6th round pick, 5'8", 215.
Fire hydrant, Michael Turner. Michael
there
Turner. You're talking about big 5'8", 215. That's a hard fire hydrant to take down. It's hard to tackle. And you know it, Money. Guys don't want to tackle anymore. What if you look at Harbaugh's team, even in Michigan, the Niners, Stanford, like you're alluding to, because they know that you're talking about zig instead of zag, other teams want to say, we're going to spread out, we're going to play this physical type of ball. But now Harbaugh's going back to old school. It's a reason why the Ravens can beat you up. But now I think the Chargers have more. Their quarterback, to me, has better arm strength. He throws the ball more accuracy. So now you're going to have even a higher percentage because teams don't want to be physical. They don't play that brand of football for 60 minutes. It's not there. Like you alluded to, linebackers, 215, 225. They got guys that can run. But when you run right at them, they're a little light in the behind, and they can't hold the point. So you're going to have Harbaugh saying, okay, I'm not going to go try to do what everyone else is doing. I understand this league is a copycat league and everyone want to go 11 personnel, spread guys out. I get it. But we're going to come beat your ass. We're going to line up, play smash mouth football, and make you make decisions, business decisions. Do I want to play this physical today? And I think no teams does.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think you said it right there. We're not forgetting about Justin Herbert. We're not.
No.
Listen, and I'll take it back to the Minnesota game last year when Brian Flores was like, "Hey, I'm going to overwhelm this offensive line. I think it's average at best. I don't think they're good in pass pro, and I'm just going to throw bodies. I'm going to throw 6. I'm going to throw 5, 6, and sometimes 7 bodies at this thing." And he's just running 0. Over and over again. He's blitzing on damn near every play. And what did Herbert do? I mean, he's like, all right, well, you're gonna go one-on-one with Keenan. How about 17 catches for 170 yards? That's what we're gonna do. So that's great. So when you're talking about, if it's 22 or if it's 12 or if it's 21, and now you've got to commit those extra resources to the box to slow it down. And he's looking, and this is where we'll get to the Ladd McConkey pick and why I loved it so much. When you're going to want a one-on-one Ladd McConkey, I know he's not the biggest guy. He's, and he played outside at Georgia. He played over 70% of the snaps. He was outside. He was not in the slot. So I don't know if he's an X. It's probably more that Z, and kind of motion him all over the place off the Z. But I think he can still play X. He is good off the snap and shaking, and if you miss him, see you later. He's a 4-3 guy. But the one thing about McConkey in talking to people around the draft, pretty much most of them say it's the best route runner. It's the best footwork. And when you combine that with that type of speed, he's 6 foot, about 189, 190 pounds. And the reason why he slipped out of that first round is they say maybe he struggles to keep weight on. A little worried about him getting pushed around. But last time I checked, Georgia plays in the SEC. And they got to play LSU, and they've got to play Alabama, and they've got to play Florida and South Carolina and Missouri and Kentucky and Tennessee and all these teams with those big bodies. Seem to be fine there. It seemed to be one of the best, yards per route run of any receiver in football. So I think what you're seeing, the way they build it is, here's a guy that can get open quick, right? It's quick. And so, and it's all about that transition of catch point to becoming a runner. And that's one thing he does really well. And that's what Keenan was, right? He's going to flash, you're going to hit him, and bang, there's your transition. And it's over and over and over again. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And I think that's something that screamed to me. And it also told me, Lo, just kind of before I throw it to you,
no.
It also told me that he was the best player on their board. That when they got into that second round, the fact that they were willing to trade up a few spots, like, hey, we have this guy valued probably somewhere in the low 20s, in that 20 to 24 range, and he's sitting here on day 2. Let's not wait. Let's not wait for him to get to 37. Let's get up there and get our guy. And I think it's going to be a perfect fit for what the Chargers are looking for in a wide receiver because of those separation numbers.
Oh, no question. He's got good hands, got great body control. He is going to, when you look at this kid, McConkey is going to be a great threat for this Charger team, especially the way that they're going to design it. When you're talking about a guy like you're talking about, the ability to run routes, in and out of breaks, now you can throw on time, on schedule. Justin knows I can get to a point and throw the ball. And like you alluded to, we started this conversation about, okay, you got Alt in the first round. You understand, big Notre Dame, 6'8". So you already got the physicality. So now you're going to say, we talked about 22 personnel, 12 personnel. So we know now that you're going to have to take a corner or something off the field, bring in another linebacker, someone bigger in the run game. So you're going to have to match up. So now you're Chargers and you're saying, okay, now let's talk about that second pick. What does that do? Now when you're talking about, McConkey, when he goes out there for running routes, now because you've been running the ball, now you created that one-on-one matchup. So bam, so it goes hand in hand. This is by design. Now you have a receiver that can win right away. Now Herbert can get the ball out of his hand because now they're thinking scheme, thinking, hey, they're going to run the ball. You're going to have more windows. Guys can't drop into these zones. They can't put a spy because of the fact they have to put hats going to be coming down. Look like keep your hats off low, coming off like run block. Now you have those windows, and especially if you have a receiver that can get open and win right now. So I think your efficiency goes up. But yes, this is the type of guy that you needed for this offense, and he's going to fare very well.
You look historically, and for the most part, teams that do the best player available, if that's what it looks like, tend to be the best at roster construction through the draft. Baltimore has always been a best player available team. We talked about that when Joe Ortiz was hired, and the hope that he would bring the same philosophy that Ozzie Newsome has instilled in all of his lieutenants that end up rising through the ranks. And I think we saw that. What have we done? We've talked about nothing but physicality, run the ball. What's the position they drafted the most of? Wide receiver. Yeah. They end up taking 3, and why? Because somehow, inexplicably, Brennan Rice, who had 12 touchdowns last year for SC, who's 6'2" and change, 210 pounds, the son of Jerry Rice, is sitting there on the 180. Yeah. Wow. And they're like, okay. And after that, they take Michigan, someone that obviously the coaching staff's familiar with, and Cornelius Johnson, who's another big dude, who's a great run blocking receiver, but also a good 50-50 ball guy downfield, very physical receiver that's probably going to excel in special teams with the change in the kickoff rules, where you're probably not looking for as much speed and smaller corner guys, but more bigger, athletic move guys in the way that kickoff is shifted. So that, to me, just seeing that they took 3 guys at that position screamed, oh, yeah, they could probably use another interior lineman. They could probably use another linebacker. But no, best player available is these 2 wide receivers, and just that's what we're going to take in the 7th.
Yeah, and also what you have to realize, too, Money, is when you do that, now Rice may run a different route better than the other guys. So you're going to have, you can look at these guys as they have their own niche. So you're going to have guys that are hungry. You're going to have Harbaugh understanding, hey, I'm a quarterback, but I know this offense. I'm going to see what these guys do well, and I'm going to see what they do great, and I'm going to see what they don't do well. And now you're going to be able to have plays, and by design and by scheme, because the way you run your offense, that you're going to see a Rice be able to go in and have some big-time plays. Wow, why isn't that guy playing more? Because the system allows him to have those plays that you see because of the system. And that's what Harbaugh, that's why this organization, I'm excited to see what they do in training camp. When I'm next to you, Money, we're looking and seeing, you're going to see stars being made because they're going to have their own niche. That's what you have to have, and that's what Harbaugh understands. He said, hey, I know, these guys can't play 50 or 60 snaps. I understand, hey, these guys are young, but I'm going to put these guys on them for their play. I'm going to make them believe mentally and physically that this is their time to shine, that they are the star. They are the main character on these plays. That's how you get guys. You talk about, what does this mean to you? Look, I'm telling you what it means, Money. It means that there's certain guys that can play star roles, but there's certain guys that can't play star roles for the whole game. LT could be the star for the whole game. There's certain guys, Mahomes could be the star for the whole game. There's Travis Kelce could be the star. There's certain guys that can't. So Harbaugh understands, I'm going to go get these guys, all these receivers, and I'm going to make them a star. I'm going to make them a star on this series. I'm going to make them a star on this play. And that's what you have to do when you're a head coach and you're building a team like the Chargers trying to do.
Yeah, I'll tell you, who's a star? Bet Online. That's who's a star. Your number one source for all your summer sports, Major League Baseball, golf, NBA, NHL playoffs. All the latest stats are there, the news, the scores. You can follow your favorite teams, get the latest odds, get the latest lines, the latest team matchups, player props, odds on just about every sport out there. Head over to the website today, or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online. Again, it's Bet Online, where the game starts. You just look so damn good in that hat, and you got the Muhammad Ali behind you. And I'm like, I gotta maybe pick up my flavor game a little bit. So I'm gonna
pick up your hat game. What you got
on. We'll get ready to go. Yeah, that's right. I'm going out to the water. This is my water cap, my melon water cap that I like to wear out in the waves, because that's, as you can see, I don't want to reveal too much, but I'm ready to go. As soon as we get done with this thing, there's a swell, and the tide is perfect right now. So we're gonna cut this thing short.
Where's my lid, man? I need one. That's a nice lid, brother.
You've got enough. Can't I have something, Lo? Can't I have anything? Everybody loves you on this pod. I'm just getting in your way.
Are you
have something?
Are you hating, man? Are you hating on your boy, your brother?
I'm not. I'm not. We'll get you something. All right. We'll be back next week. Dig deeper into this draft class. We'll talk about these undrafted free agents. And as I said, as the schedule starts coming out and all that sort of stuff, we got a lot to come. Yeah, it's the off season, but football never stops, man. We got rookie mini camp coming up, and obviously a ton of pressers, and all of that is still making its way in our direction, and we'll share all of it with you. So thanks everybody for downloading, for reviewing, for leaving. My dog knows whenever we're done. She gets up.